Hey y'all, so today let's talk angel numbers.
So many reasons why I want for you, my love. Now you I want to retire with my love. See what you did,
So, a lot of people have been asking me for tutorials on my angel number hats, on my name hats, how do I do tapestry in the hat, all kind of fun good stuff. So, I figured we could start this series off with the number 3. So, I started making angel number hats about 2 years ago. I work a lot with chakras, synchronicities, alignment, all of the occult things surrounding that. I wanted to incorporate that into my brand. As you can see, I started a chakra collection, and at first it was just hats based on the chakra colors using velvet, of course, because Bonnie Velvet, right? It kind of elevated, and I decided to pair the chakra colors with angel numbers. 1 for the root chakra, 2 for sacral, 3 for solar plexus, 4 for heart, 5 for throat, 6 for third eye, and 7 for crown. My favorite color is yellow. My number is 3, as y'all can see. So I figured we start here. If you're new to my channel, thank you for joining. If you're returning, finally y'all are getting another tutorial. So grab your yarn, grab your hooks, and let's get to crocheting. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below what other numbers you want to see, what letters you want to see, if there's any specific names you want me to do. And let's get it started. So we're gonna go over the materials of what we need to create a 333 hat. Step 1, graph paper, pencil, 5mm hook, scissors, and 2 yarn colors. We're gonna use a 4-weight yarn in purple and yellow. I'm gonna use this for the base of the hat, and we're gonna use this for the numbers. First thing, we want to sketch our numbers, right? So each box is going to represent a stitch. So we're just going to graph out our 3. And while we're graphing our 3, we're going to keep in mind that the number itself is going to take up 7 rows, right? So this right here is row 3. 4 is going to be our middle, so that is going to bring in the 3 and start to shape it. Now, I know everybody is not a drawing type. A lot of people use Stitch Fiddle and other apps to create graphs, and that's perfectly fine. Me personally, I like to use graph paper because I just like being hands-on in that way. And also, if I need to edit the design, it is also easy for me to edit with graph paper than it is compared to using technology. I don't know why though. I'm a 90s baby, but I guess the technology didn't hit me the way it hit everybody else. So I'm pretty old school. So I have my 3 graphed out, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. Okay. Now, each box is supposed to represent a stitch. This is perfect if you're using a half double crochet or even single crochets. Me personally, I like to use double crochets. So for this tutorial purpose, we are going to use each box as a double crochet. When I create full tapestries, I typically like to use 2 double crochets per box, just so it can stretch out the pattern appropriately. So now that we got that down, let's start our hat. So this is going to be intermediate friendly, I would say. I do have a tutorial on how to create bucket hats if you guys want to check that out. But for purposes of this video, I'm not going to teach how to do any stitches, but more so tucking within tapestry. We're going to create a magic circle, right? And once we have our magic circle, we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. So I start off with 1 chain just to lock in the circle, and then I do my 3. And then now we're going to add 10 double crochets into this first round. Gonna pull this nice and tight, this loose thread, to close up our circle. And then that top stitch at the top of the first chain 3 that we created, we're going to slip stitch, but we're also going to add this loose chain in there with the slip stitch, right? And then we're going to chain 1 to fasten that off. That's going to lock in this loose chain, so we won't have to worry about weaving in ends. One thing about me, I am never going to weave in some ends, okay? So now with that, we're going to chain 3. And in the next stitch, we're going to hit 2 double crochets. And while we're doing the 2 double crochets, we're also tucking this behind as well. So that way we can conceal the loose yarn. And we're just going to do 2 double crochets in all 10 stitches going around. So now we're going to slip stitch at the top of the first double crochet in the row. So we're going to bypass the chain up 3, slip stitch right into the top of that first double crochet. Also going to put our loose yarn over, tucking, and this tucking is going to help you practice with the tapestry as well, because as you can see in my hats, I do not have any loose threads that I have to tuck in the hat. So we're just going to slip stitch, chain 1 just to secure that in place, and we're going to chain up 3. Okay, so now in the same first stitch where this chain 3 is, we're going to put 2 double crochets. In the next stitch, 1 double crochet, and as you can see, I'm still tucking that loose yarn. Next stitch, 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 1 double crochet. So this patterning you're going to follow all the way till the end of the round. So 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet. And in this last stitch, I'm just going to put 1 double crochet, because that and this chain 3 is going to be my 2 for the final. So at the top of that first double crochet that we made, we're just going to slip stitch into that. That ends round 3. So chain 1 to fasten off that row, and then chain 3. So now starting round 4, we're going to put 2 double crochets in that first stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the following stitch. Okay, so next stitch, 2 double crochets, and then for the next 2 stitches we're going to put 1 double crochet in each. Following stitch, 2 double crochets. Next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet in each. And we're going to follow that patterning all the way to the end of this round. Okay, and to fasten off this row, we're going to go at the top of that first double crochet, slip stitch into there, chain 1 to fasten off that round, and that finishes round 4. Just going to chain up 3. And to start round 5, in that first stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets. In the next 3 stitches, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch. 2, 3. Next stitch, 2 double crochets. Next 3 stitches, 1 double crochet in each. Following stitch, 2 double crochets. Next 3 stitches, 1 double crochet in each of those next 3 stitches. Following stitch is going to have 2 double crochets. 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Following stitch, 2 double crochets. So that patterning we're going to follow all the way to the end of round 5. All right, so we should end the row with 1 double crochet, and then we're just going to slip stitch into the top of that first double crochet we made, chain 1 to fasten off that row, chain up 3 to start round 6, and that's where we're at so far with round 5. 1 2 3 4 5. So to start round 6, 1 2 3 4 5. To start round 6, we are going to double crochet into that first stitch right here. 2 double crochets, and in the next 1 2 3 4 stitches, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of those stitches. So we're going to hit 1 2 3 4. Okay, so in the next stitch, 2 double crochets, 1 2, and the next 4, 1 2 3 4 stitches, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each of those. So next stitch, 2 double crochets, 1 2, and then for the next 4 stitches, 1 double crochet in each. 1 2 3 4 double crochets. Okay, next stitch, 2 double crochets, and then 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. Then 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the following, 1 in the next, 1 in the next, 1 in the next. So that patterning we're going to follow all the way to the end of round 6. And we're just going to slip stitch in the top of that first double crochet we made in the round, chain 1 to fasten it off, and that completes round 6, and that also completes all of our increases. Now this is for an average size head. If you have more hair or you're like a bigger cat, I'd suggest that you do one more increase round, because the numbers are going to make the hat more fitted on the head. Okay, so if you were to do round 7 with an increase, you'll do 2 double crochets in that first stitch, and for the next 5 stitches you'll do 1 double crochet in each of the 5 stitches, and you'll just follow that patterning around. So now we're ready to add our 3s to the hat. So got our graph paper here. All right, now each box is going to represent 2 double crochets. So this is 2 4 6 8 stitches across to create a 3. Now this is for a thicker 3. If you're gonna follow this exact patterning for 1 double crochet each stitch, each box, so 1, 2, 3, 4, your 3 will come out like this. So I'll show you guys the spacing for this, as well as 2 double crochets in each stitch. So I'm gonna chain up 3, 1 double crochet in the first stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Now these 2 stitches are gonna create spacing for me to start my 3. All right, so to start the 3, we need to create a space to start building this top part. So we said, based on this patterning, this box is 2 double crochets, right? But again, we are not going to add the color for the 3 here in that spot, So we're going to account for it by placing 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and that is a part of our 3, right? Now, to add the next color, when you do that second double crochet, you're only going to pull through 1 time, leaving 2 loops on your hook. Okay? So act like you're doing your regular double crochet, yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're going to leave 2 loops on the hook. This is going to prepare us for our color change. So I'm grabbing my yellow, which is my second color, and I'm just going to put that over my hook and pull through these last 2 loops that were on my hook with the purple. So now I'm going to hold my yarn to anchor, and this purple and loose string yellow I'm going to hold together, and we're going to tuck that behind our project, right? So we're going to yarn over with the yellow now, and in the next stitch we're going to put a double crochet. Now while we're holding these 2 colors behind, we're also tucking it within the double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, go through the loop, we're tucking, pull through, pull through. So that is our second double crochet. And for the purposes of this project, this is going to be 8 stitches for our 3. So we're just going to do 2 more double crochets, so 1 in each stitch. So we have 4 yellow double crochets. That's going to create the middle for our 3. Okay, but for that last double crochet, we only want to pull through 1, and now we can pull up the purple, put the yellow behind, and pull that through our last 2 loops of yellow. And we're going to create another double crochet now for the next 2 stitches, 1 in each of the purple. And essentially this now is the spacing for my 3. Okay. So that is the spacing for the first 3. Now I'm going to add one more purple double crochet, and that stitch is going to represent the space in between this 3 and the next 3, right? So in the next 2 stitches, we're going to put the purple double crochet, right, for 2 stitches, but that last double crochet, we're going to leave the last 2 hoops on that hook so we can do our color change. Put the purple behind, bring the yellow up to finish off that double crochet. And then for the next 4 stitches, we're going to add 1 double crochet with our yellow. And that is building up our top 3. And in that last double crochet with the yellow, so the 4th double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, putting the yellow behind, putting the purple up to close off that last double crochet. Yarn over, and we're going to do 2 more double crochets in the next 2 stitches, with the last stitch leaving the last 2 loops on the hook, right? Pull through. That is finishing our second 3 with the spacing. Okay, 1 more double crochet, and that is our space. Then we're going to do 2 more double crochets, 1, 2. And this last double crochet, we're leaving those 2 loops on the hook, and we're pulling up the yellow to finish off that double crochet. We're going to do 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to take this purple, bring it forward, drop the yellow, and that purple is going to finish off our last double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 double crochets in the purple to finish off the spacing for our 3. So you can pause this video here and go back if you need any help on how to make the wider 3. And then on this other side, I'll show you how to start off the thinner 3. So that way you can add more numbers onto the hat via spacing. Okay. Now, the whole time I've been tucking my yellow as I go, so I do not have to weave that in. So it's going to be seamless on both sides, right? Okay. Now to start the smaller 3, we're just reducing the size. So we're going to put 1 double crochet, but leaving the last 2 hoops on the hook, dropping the purple, pulling the yellow forward to finish off that double crochet. We're just going to pull the yellow through, and in the next 2 stitches we're going to add 1 double crochet in each. 1, here's 2, but we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook, dropping the yellow to bring it back, bringing the purple forward, and pulling through those last 2 hoops, right? And then we're going to do 1 purple double crochet, and that is going to be the spacing. These 4 stitches is going to be the spacing for our smaller 3. So I'm just going to put 1 double crochet in purple in the next stitch to create our spacing between the threes. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do 1 double crochet, but we're only going to pull through those first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping the purple, bringing the yellow forward, and pulling through the last 2 loops to finish off that double crochet with the yellow. And in the next 2 stitches, we're going to add 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and that second double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the yellow, bringing the purple forward, and pulling through those last 2 loops with the purple, and in the next stitch adding a purple double crochet, and that finishes the spacing for our second 3. So as you could see, as far as sizing goes, this is if you put 2 double crochets in each stitch, and this is if you put 1 double crochet in each stitch. Okay, so next stitch, we're going to put 1 purple double crochet for our space in between the 3s. And in the next stitch, we're going to do a double crochet, but only pulling through the first 2 loops with the purple, dropping the purple back, bringing the yellow to the forefront, pulling that through the last 2 loops of the purple to finish it off. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets of yellow in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, and that second double crochet, we are leaving 2 loops on the hook. The loop in the hook is getting me crossed up. And we're going to bring the purple front, dropping the yellow and pulling the purple through the last 2 yellow loops to finish that off. In the next stitch, we're doing a double crochet, and that completes our third 3, right? So we see the spacing here, right? That's for our smaller size, and this is for our double size. Okay. So we're going to put a double crochet for our next space, and that is going to create a space between the numbers again. So if you just wanted to add the 3 angel numbers, you can do the bigger size or the smaller size, and then finish off the rest of your round with the main color. Or you can continue to add the numbers around based on this spacing, and that will create an anchor for you to start the numbers on the hat. So I'm just gonna finish this off with just all of the purple. And now on the back side with the yellow, I'm gonna drop the yellow and just double crochet all the way around till I reach the end of the round. 1 double crochet in each stitch. Now, me personally, I do not carry the other color throughout the whole project, simply because you can see the other color peeking through. And for me personally, I don't like it. It also creates more tension on the hat itself, and we would like to eliminate that so the hat can fit as good as possible. So now that we've put in our last double crochet in the round, at the top of the first double crochet that we created in the round, we are going to slip stitch, chain 1 to fasten off that round, and then we're going to chain up 3 and turn our work. So now we finished this top row of our 3. Check that off, that's done. So now we're going to work on round 2 of the 3. So as you can see, we have the stitches now coming on the outside of the stitches that we created to build up the arc of the 3. All right, with the 2 spacings in the middle. So we're just going to add 1 double crochet all the way till we get to the spacing for the 3. Okay, 1 double crochet in every stitch. So now that we chained up 3, turned our work, we're going to skip that first bottom stitch and that next stitch, put our double crochet, and then 1 double crochet all the way to our spacing for the 3. So now we're at the stitch before the yellow double crochets we started for the top anchor part of our 3. So with this last double crochet, we pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, right? We're going to drop the purple behind, bring the yellow forward so we can pull that through our last 2 loops and just pull that purple to tighten it. And this is perfect so you guys can see how the tucking is going behind the hat. So now that I have my yellow, I'm gonna put a double crochet in the next stitch, but this is for our smaller 3, so I'm only going to do 1, pull through the first 2 loops and leave 2 loops on the hook, drop this yellow forward, pull the purple up to finish off that 1 double crochet, pull this yellow to tighten it. Okay, so we're going to do 2 double crochets at the bottom of our 2 yellow double crochets. All right. But that second double crochet, only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the purple forward and taking this yellow and pulling it through the last 2 loops. Yarning over, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in that next stitch, but only pulling through the first 2 loops. Drop the yellow forward, bring the purple up, and pull it through our yellow to finish off that double crochet. And in the next stitch, we're going to do a purple double crochet, leaving the space in between the 3s. So this is the back of the smaller 3, and this is the front, how it's building up. So you can see this is the arc that you have now built for the smaller 3. So we're going to drop that purple forward, bring the yellow through the last 2 loops, start our double crochet in the next loop with the yellow, only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, and then we're going to pull through with the purple through the last 2 loops to finish off that double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch and start a double crochet in the next stitch, only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping the purple forward, bringing the yellow up to pull through and finish that double crochet, and then 1 yellow double crochet in the next loop, only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping that yellow forward, bringing the purple up and through the last 2 loops to finish off our 3, and then 1 double crochet with the purple. We're going to start in the next stitch, again only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping the purple forward, bringing the yellow through the last 2 loops of purple, and then starting a yellow double crochet in the next one, drop the yellow forward, bring the purple up, yarn over with the purple double crochet in the first one, start the double crochet in the next one, but pull the purple forward after you pull through the first 2 loops, get the yellow, pull it through the last 2 loops, and we're going to do half of our double crochet, and then next with the yellow, pull the yellow forward, purple up through the last 2 loops of the yellow, yarn over, and we're just going to finish that off with our purple double crochet. Now, as you can see for the back, all of our yarn is tucked, and for the front we have our 3 threes already arched for our smaller size 3. So now that we have added our space, now we're going to move on to the bigger 3. So in that next stitch, I'm adding a space, but like we did with the smaller 3, we're now going to add extra stitches. So for our purple, we do our half double crochet where we create the double crochet, only pull through the first 2 loops with the purple, drop the purple forward, pull the yellow up, pulling it through the last 2 loops. And now for the bigger 3, we're going to put 2 yellow double crochets in the next 2 loops. So we're tucking our purple, we're going under the tuck string into the stitch, creating a yellow double crochet, and then in the next stitch we are creating another double crochet, but only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping the yellow forward, pulling up the purple in. Now in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each with the purple, tucking the yellow. So I got the yellow, we're yarning over with the purple, we're going under that front string into the stitch for our double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet, And now we're leaving 2 loops on our hook with that last double crochet, the 4th double crochet. We're bringing the purple forward, bringing the yellow up, pulling it through to end off that double crochet, and we're moving on to the next space. Okay, so we're doing 2 double crochets, again tucking our yarn. That's our first double crochet, and the second double crochet we're just going to pull up through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, bring the yellow forward, get that purple to pull through and finish off that double crochet. And now this is the perfect view of tucking, where we have the purple. We're gonna go under the yellow through the stitch, pull up through 2 of the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, and this double crochet is going to act as our space in between the 2 threes. Pull the yellow through the last 2 loops, and we're hitting 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. That second stitch, we're only pulling through 2, leaving 2 loops on our hook, pulling the yellow forward, bringing the purple back, pulling it through the last 2 loops, and then we're doing 4 double crochets going across where the yellow stitches are. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this 4th one we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, dropping the purple in front, bringing the yellow through the last 2 loops, and then we're hitting 2 double crochets with the yellow in the next 2 stitches. But in the second one, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, pulling the yellow forward, pulling the purple through the last 2 to finish off that double crochet, and then double crocheting into that next stitch. So now, as you can see, for our bigger 3, this is our back that we have tucked, started building that arch for our 3, and this is our front. Okay, so for this last 3, we're going to pull that purple forward, take the yellow, pull it through our last 2 loops, 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, so 1 double crochet each. But the second double crochet, again, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, pulling the yellow forward, pulling the purple back, and pulling it through the last 2 loops, and hitting the next 4 stitches with a double crochet in each of the 4 stitches. 2, 3, 4. We have our last double crochet where we only pull through the first 2, leaving 2 loops on our hook, pulling that purple forward, pulling the yellow up, bringing that to end off our last double crochet. And now we're just going to double crochet into the next stitch. The following stitch, we are leaving 1 double crochet, but we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, pulling that purple up to pull through and finish off that double crochet. We are adding a purple double crochet, and since I only have 2 stitches left, I'm going to drop this yellow, add a double crochet into that last stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet we created in that row. chain 1 to fasten off that row, and then chain up 3 and turn our work. So we have built up our hat. We have the crown done. We're starting the 3s, and we have our big 3 right here. As you can see, we have the arc for the 3 build. This is for our larger 3. This is for our smaller 3. Okay. So now we have finished round 2 of our 3. So now we're going to work on this 3rd row, which, as you can see right here, only consists of the back part of the 3. So this one will work up fairly easy. So now for the 3rd round of letters, we're completing the curve, the top curve of the 3. So we're going to skip the bottom of that first stitch we made with the chain up 3. Double crochet in the first stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. And for the next 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're going to add 1 double crochet in each of those 6 stitches. So with the yellow, we're going to start tucking that behind. We're going to double crochet to that first stitch in the next stitch, and with the yellow, you're adding that to the top of your stitch, sticking your hook under the loose yarn through the stitch, pulling up a loop to lock that in, and we're just gonna go 3, 4, 5, 6. In that 6th stitch, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook. Pull that yellow through so it's snug but not super tight that it starts crunching your project. Gonna drop the purple back, bring the yellow forward, and pulling through that last 2 loops. And then these last 2 stitches for your 3, you're going to add the 2 yellow double crochets. The first one in the first stitch, and the second stitch, we are pulling up through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook. Dropping that yellow back, pulling the purple forward to finish off that double crochet. Double crochet into the next 7 stitches because we have the one here for the space, and the next 6 to start our second 3. Again, tucking the yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in that 6th double crochet, we are leaving our last 2 hoops on the look, only pulling through the first 2, dropping the purple back, pulling the yellow up through the last 2 to finish off that double crochet, and then 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, 1 in each stitch. And that second stitch, remember, we are only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the yellow back, picking the purple up through our last 2 loops, and we're doing 7 purple double crochets. 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then that 7th double crochet, we are pulling through the first 2, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook, dropping the purple, picking up the yellow, pulling that through to finish off that double crochet, and then we're going to hit 2 double crochets with the yellow. So 1 in that first stitch, pulling through the first 2 loops of that last double crochet, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the yellow, bringing the purple forward and pulling it through the last 2 loops. And then we're going to hit a double crochet in the purple in the next stitch. So now we've created the top arch of the 3, right? Let me do it this way. 1, 2, 3, right? And then for our back, again, everything is tucked in because we are not weaving in any ends over here, right? So that creates round 3 for the wider numbers. Okay. We're going to move on now to the smaller 3s, following the same patterning, but of course with 1 double crochet instead of the 2, right? So I have my spacing double crochet. So we finish our spacing double crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to add 4 double crochets in the purple up until we get to that last stitch for our 3. Tucking our yellow. We have 1, 2, 3. Right? That 3rd double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook, dropping the purple, pulling up the yellow through the last 2 loops, adding that yellow, double crochet in this last yellow stitch, leaving our last 2 loops on the hook, dropping the yellow back, pulling the purple forward through the last 2 loops. Next stitch is our space, and then we continue with the next 3 stitches, having 1 double crochet in each. 1, 2, 3. In this 3rd double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, dropping the purple back, pulling the yellow through our last 2 hoops, and going in the next stitch with our yellow double crochet, dropping the yellow, pulling the purple up through the last 2 hoops to finish off that double crochet. 4 purple double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. And that 4th double crochet, we are only pulling through the first 2 stitches, leaving 2 on the hook, dropping the purple back, bringing the yellow through the last 2 loops to finish off that double crochet, hitting a yellow double crochet in the next stitch, only pulling through the first 2 loops, dropping the yellow back, taking the purple, pulling it through the last 2 loops, We're tucking the yellow for the next stitch, and we're doing a double crochet, dropping the yellow now, and continuing our double crochets to the end. So now for the smaller 3, you see we have our curve, our top curve for our smaller 3s, back tucked, and that is the 3rd round for the number 3. So here we have our wider numbers, and here we have our smaller numbers. And we've dropped the yellow, so for the rest of the hat all the way down to the end of the round, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch. And then we are going to slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet of that round. Chain 1 to fasten off that round. And then we are going to chain up 3, turn our work. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet all the way back till we get to the spacing for our 3. So again, this bottom stitch here, we're going to skip that, and that next stitch, double crochet, and we're going to do that all the way till we get back to our spacing for the 3. Okay, so now we are at the spacing for our smaller 3. We finished off round 3. We are now working on round 4. So you can see we got the 2 middle stitches of our 3. So for the smaller 3, we're doing 2 double crochets in the middle, and we have a spacing here at the end and the beginning of our 3. So this yellow we are going to pick up so we can start tucking it in. We're going to do a double crochet in that first space, but we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, pulling the purple forward, pulling the yellow up to finish off that double crochet. And in the next 2 stitches, we'll be doing the yellow double crochet, 1, 2, but we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops for our second double crochet, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping that yellow forward, pulling the purple up to finish off that double crochet. And then we're going in with 3 double crochets, one to finish off the 3, second one for our spacing, third one to start the next 3. We're only going to pull through the first 2 stitches, pulling the purple forward, taking that yellow to finish off the double crochet. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches with the yellow. So we have 1, 2, and that second double crochet, we're only going to pull through our first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, pulling through the last 2 loops with our purple. And then again, we're going to do another 3 double crochets, 1 in each stitch. So 1 to finish off the second 3, 1 for our spacing, and 1 to start the last 3. We're going to pull through those first 2 loops for our third double crochet, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the purple forward, pulling the yellow up and through the last 2 loops on our hook. 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch, but we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the yellow forward, pulling the purple through the last 2, and then we are going to hit 2 double crochets, and that finishes our spacing for the fourth round of our 3. So now we have that full curve part, signifying that we are at the middle of the smaller 3. And this is our back. For our larger 3, add another double crochet for our spacing. So our spacing is handled. Now for the wider 3, we're doing 2 purple, 4 yellow, 2 purple for this patterning. So for these first 2 stitches of our 3, we're going to go in with the purple, tuck in the yellow. And that second double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving our last 2 loops on the hook, pulling the purple forward, pulling the yellow through the last 2 loops of our purple to finish that off. And then we are going to do 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. And we're tucking our purple. And that 4th double crochet, we're only going to pull through our first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, and we are pulling the yellow forward. We're going to take our purple to pull through the last 2 loops on our hook, and then we're hitting 2 double crochets, and that is finishing off the first 3. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3 double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So that is our spacing and our first 2 stitches for our second 3. The last double crochet, we're only going to pull through that first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, pull the purple forward, bring the yellow up, and in the next 4 double crochets, we are going to add 1 double crochet to each of the 4 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and that 4th one we are only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on our hook, dropping that yellow forward. And we're going to pull a purple through the last 2 loops. And we are going to do 5 double crochets in purple in the next 5 stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. For the 5th stitch, we are going to pull our purple forward, only pulling it through the first 2 loops. We're taking the yellow, pulling it through the last 2 loops. And in the next 4 stitches, we are doing 1 double crochet in each stitch. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets. That 4th double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook. Pulling that yellow forward, taking a purple to pull through our last 2 loops. And then 1, 2 double crochets to finish off our last 3, and then we have 1 double crochet for our spacing. I'm dropping my yellow here, and in this last stitch adding a double crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet we created in this round, pulling it through to create 1 chain to fasten it off, and chaining up 3, turning my work. So that is for our wider 3. As we can see, that is round 4 of our 3. This is the back with everything tucked. And again, this is our smaller 3. So round 4 of the smaller 3, nice and tucked. Round 4 of our wider 3, nice and tucked. So now we've completed round 4 of our 3, and we're gonna move on to round 5. Round 5 is the same as round 3. We're just working it the other way. No, we're working it the same way. So round 5 is the same as round 3. So we have round 5. This first stitch we're going to skip, and we're going to just double crochet into that first stitch. So in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches for our wider 3, we're going to put 1 purple double crochet. So the first stitch is for our spacing. The next 6 stitches will be for the start of our first 3. So 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna pull up my yellow from the back to start tucking that behind the yellow. So this is our 4th double crochet, 5, 6, 7, and for the 7th one we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on our hook, dropping the purple, bringing the yellow forward and pulling it through the last 2 loops to finish off our double crochet. And then we're doing 1 double crochet in the next stitch, starting a double crochet in the 2nd stitch, only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping the yellow, pulling the purple up and through the last 2 loops. And that is round 5 for our first 3. So now for the next 3, we have 1 for our spacing, and then 6 stitches for the second 3 in round 5. So we're going to do 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And for our 7th double crochet, we are only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping the purple, pulling the yellow up and through the last 2 loops. And then we're doing 2 yellow double crochets to finish off our 3. But we are only pulling through the first 2 loops on the 2nd double crochet, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping the yellow, pulling the purple through the last 2 loops. And again, we're going to go in with 7 purple double crochets, 1 for our spacing, and then 6 for our 3. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and our 7th double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the purple, pulling the yellow up and through the last 2 loops, and then hitting 2 double crochets, 1 in the next 2 stitches to finish off our last 3. We're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, pulling the purple through the last 2 loops after we drop our yellow, and hitting a double crochet in the purple, and that ends round 5 of our wider number. So if you're doing the wider 3s, it should look like this on the front, and the back is tucked, and this is for round 5 of the wider 3. For our smaller 3s, we're only going to do 1 double crochet instead of the 2, like our wider 3. So I have 1 double crochet for our spacing, and then we're going to put 3 double crochets to start our 3 in this purple. So 1, 2, 3. In the 3rd double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, dropping that purple, bringing that yellow forward and through the last 2 loops to finish off that double crochet, and we're going in with a double crochet in that next stitch. And here we're going to drop that yellow back, pull that purple through our last 2 loops that were on our hook, and that is for round 5 of our smaller 3. So now we're going to go in with 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches, 1 for our spacing, and 3 to start our second 3. And for that 4th double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook, dropping the purple back, pulling the yellow forward and through the last 2 loops. To finish that double crochet in the next stitch, we're going in with yellow double crochet, only going through the first 2 loops, keeping 2 loops on our hook, dropping the yellow back, pulling that purple up and through the last 2 loops. And then the next 4 stitches, we're going to get 1 double crochet in each of those with our purple. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. In that 4th stitch, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on our hook, taking that yellow, pulling it through our last 2 loops on our hook. Next stitch, we're going in with that double crochet, but only pulling through the first 2 loops. And then we have our 2 loops on our hook. We're going to drop that yellow back, pull the yellow up and through those last 2 loops of the yellow. And in that next stitch, we're going to go in with a full double crochet. And that completes our 3 threes for our smaller numbers. So as we can see, that is how our 3 threes are working up. This is the front. This is the back, nice and tucked. So now to finish off this round, I'm dropping my yellow and I'm going to do 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down to the end of this round. Then we're going to slip stitch in that first double crochet that we created in our round. Chain 1 to fasten it off, and then chain up 3. Turn our work, and we are ready to start round 6. So for round 6, we've turned our work. Gonna skip this first stitch right here and double crochet into the next stitch, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch till we get back to our number 3 spacing. So now we're approaching our 3 And first we're going to work on our smaller threes, right? So in a double crochet, before we start our spacing, we're going to do 1 double crochet, pull through the first 2 loops, leave the last 2 loops on the hook. We're going to pull our purple forward, and our yellow, we're now going to pull back in, pull through the last 2 loops that are on our hook. We're going to do 1 yellow double crochet. We're going to start it only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook. We're going to pull our yellow forward, pull our purple up and through the last 2 hoops on our hook. And for the next 2 stitches, we're going to add 1 double crochet in each stitch. So we're going to tuck that yellow, 1, 2, and the second double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook. Pull that purple forward, take that yellow and pull it through the last 2 loops. And in the next stitch, we're going to put our yellow double crochet, but only pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on our hook. Drop that yellow forward, pull the purple through our last 2 loops, and then we're going to go in with 1 purple double crochet in the next, and this is going to be our spacing. We're going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook. Take the yellow, pull through the last 2 loops. Take our yellow and do our double crochet in the next stitch. Pull through the first 2 loops. Leave the last 2 loops on the hook. And then we're going to take the purple, pull up through the last 2 loops, and do 2 double crochets, and 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. That second double crochet, we're only pulling through 2, leaving 2 on the loop. Pull our purple forward, get our yellow to pull through the last 2 loops, and in that next stitch, we're doing 1 yellow double crochet, but we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook. Taking that purple to pull through the last 2 loops to finish off that double crochet and start the next one. Go in with the next double crochet, pull that purple forward, take the yellow, pull it through the last 2 loops. Start a double crochet in that next stitch. With the yellow, pull the yellow forward. The last 2 loops, we're pulling the purple through, and then the next 2 stitches is going to get a double crochet in each. And that second double crochet, we're only pulling through the first 2. And the last 2 loops on the hook, we're going to take the yellow and pull through the last 2. And that next stitch, we're going to do a yellow double crochet, only pulling through our first 2 loops, leaving our last 2 loops, and taking a purple and pulling through the last 2 loops and hitting a double crochet with the purple in that last space. And that completes round 6 of our 3. So now we can see our 3 is almost done. Here is the front of our smaller 3, and here is the back. So for our wider 3, we're going to do the same but doubled as our smaller 3. So I have my purple double crochet for my spacing. Only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook. Pull that purple forward and take that yellow, pull it through those last 2 loops. And we're going to do 2 yellow double crochets, 1 in the next 2 stitches each. That second double crochet, we're going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook. Pull that yellow forward, pull the purple through the last 2 loops, and we're going to do 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops of that 4th double crochet. Pull that purple forward, get this yellow, and pull it through the last 2 loops. And then we're going to do 2 yellow double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. That second stitch, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook. Pull that yellow forward, pull the purple through the last 2 loops, and our next double crochet in that next stitch will be purple, but we're going to start it with the purple. This is going to be our spacing. Pull that yellow forward, pull the purple forward, pull the yellow through the last 2 loops. So we've pulled our yellow through. We're going to do 2 double crochets with the yellow. That second double crochet, we're only going to pull through that first 2 loops. Pull the yellow forward, take the purple, pull through the last 2 loops. And then we're going to hit 4 double crochets with the purple. And that 4th double crochet, we're going to pull through the first 2 loops, last 2 loops we're going to leave on the hook, and pull through with the yellow to finish off that double crochet. And then we're going to go in with 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. That last stitch, we're going to pull through the first 2, leave the last 2 on the hook, pull through with the purple, go into the next stitch, pull through the first 2 stitches, leaving the last 2 on the hook, pull through the last 2 with yellow, 2 double crochets with the yellow, and the second double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook, pull through that with the purple to finish off that double crochet. Gonna hit 4 double crochets with the purple, 3, 4, and this last one we're only gonna pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook, pull through with the yellow to finish off that double crochet. We're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, and that second double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving those last 2 loops on the hook. Pull that yellow forward, take that purple, pull it through the last 2, and then we're just going to double crochet into that next stitch, dropping the yellow. Pull that yellow forward, take that yellow, pull the yellow forward, take the purple, and in that last stitch we're going to add our purple double crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch at the top of that first double crochet, fasten it off with a chain 1, chain 3, and turn our work, and row 3 is done. So that is row 6 of our wide 3s. It's row 6. That's the back. And then we have row 6 for our smaller 3s already done. So y'all see the size difference. And now we're going to work on row 7, which is our last row of letters. So row 7 is going to replicate row 1. So row 6 is done. We're working on row 7, and that is just going to consist of the middle part of our 3 to just round out the bottom of the 3. And we're going to do 4 double crochets for the wider 3, 2 double crochets for the smaller one. So we've done our chain up 3 to start round 7 of our letters. This should now also be row 13 of your hat, unless you did an increase at row 7, so that will put it at 14. So we did our chain 3, turned our work. We're going to skip this first stitch right here, go into the next stitch, put a double crochet, and this is going to create our spacing. The next stitch, double crochet, and now we're at our 3, right? So we're going to put a double crochet in these next 2 stitches. One, 2, and this second double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the second 2 loops still on the hook. We're going to drop the purple back, bring the yellow forward, and pull the yellow through the last 2 loops. And with the yellow, we're going to put a double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 4th double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops on the hook. Drop the yellow and pull the purple through those last 2, and we're going to do a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And that is going to be our first 3. Going to do 3 more double crochets with the purple. The next stitch will be our spacing in between the 2 3s. And then 2, 3. This third double crochet, we're only going to pull through the last the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 loops still on the hook. Drop that purple, and we're going to pull the yellow forward and through the last 2 loops, and we're going to do 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. 2, 3, 4. In this 4th one, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving that last 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to take that purple, pull through the last 2, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets with the purple. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on that 5th double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops and leave the last 2 loops on that hook. Drop the purple back, take the yellow, pull it through the last 2 loops, and we're going to hit 4 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 stitches. 3, 4. In this 4th one, we're only going to pull through 1. We're only going to pull through the first 2 loops and then leave the last 2 loops on that hook. Drop the yellow back, take the purple, pull it forward through those last 2 loops, and then we're going to hit 3 double crochets, 2 to finish off our 3, and 1 for our spacing. And our 3s are done for our wide number. Okay, so that is our 333 with the wide number. This is the front. This is the inside and the back. Okay, all nice and tucked. And now we're going to do our smaller 3 for round 7. So we have our 1 purple double crochet for our spacing, right? Then we're going to put another double crochet in the next stitch to start our 3. We're going to pull through only the first 2 loops, leaving the second 2 loops on our hook, and we're going to pull that yellow through the second set of loops and hit 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. And on that second stitch, we're only pulling through the first 2 loops with 2 loops on the hook, and we're going to take our purple, pull it through to finish off that second double crochet. And then in the next 3 stitches, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each of the stitches. In that 3rd stitch, we're only going to pull through 2, leaving 2 loops on the hook. Drop that purple, take the yellow up and through the last 2 loops, and do 2 double crochets. In the second double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the second 2 loops on the hook. Drop that yellow back, take the purple, pull it through the last 2, and 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. And that 3rd double crochet, we're only going to pull through the first 2, and pull that yellow through to finish off that double crochet, and then 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. That second double crochet, we are going to only pull through the first 2 loops, leaving the last 2 on the hook. Take the purple and pull that through the last 2 loops to finish off that double crochet. And then we have our next 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, and that finishes off our spacing for that. And that now leaves us with our smaller 3 done. See the front, and here's our inside on the back, all tucked in. So at this point, I like to cut off my yellow or whatever color you decided to use for your number. Now that just leaves me with the working yarn for the hat. So now that I've cut off my yellow yarn, gonna leave that out to hang, and we'll tuck that in later. And I'm just going to finish this round with a double crochet in every stitch all the way down to the end of the round. And now that we've got our last stitch, we're going to slip stitch in that first double crochet that we made for that row, chain 1 to fasten it off, and chain up 3 and turn our work. Okay, so here is our cap so far. So we got our 333 with the Y numbers, 333 with the smaller numbers. So now that we're moving on to round 14, or if it's 15 for you, we are now going to work on the brim. So at this point, you can do a bucket hat, ruffle hat, wavy brim hat. For purposes of this tutorial, we're going to do a bucket hat like this. But I'm going to do 3 rows. So in the first row, I've chained my 3. I'm going to turn my work. And in the first stitch, we're going to skip that. The next stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets. The following stitch, we're going to put 1 double crochet. Next stitch, 1 double crochet. Following stitch, 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 1 double crochet. following stitch, 1 double crochet, next stitch, 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 1 double crochet, following stitch, 1 double crochet, next stitch, 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 1 double crochet, following 1 double crochet, next stitch, 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 1 double crochet, following stitch, 1 double crochet, next stitch, 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 1 double crochet, following stitch, 1 double crochet, next stitch, 2 double crochets. Next stitch, 1 double crochet, following stitch, 1 double crochet, next stitch, 2 double crochets. So now we've gotten to the point where our cutoff color is. So all we're going to do now is tuck it as we crochet along this row, following the same patterning we've been doing. So 2 double crochets in 1 stitch, then 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet. So we did our 2, so that's 1 double crochet with the tuck, 2 double crochet, and in the next stitch, 3, 4. So 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3, 4. And we're just going to work that all the way around. Just going to fasten off this row with a slip stitch at the top of the first double crochet, chain up 3, turn our work And we're going to hit the same pattern that we did in the first row. So 2 double crochets in the first stitch, 1 double crochet in the next, 1 double crochet in the next, and then the following will have 2 double crochets. And we're going to do that all the way around till we get to the end of this row. So we finished our second round on the bucket hat, and we're just going to add 1 more row, and it's going to be 1 double crochet in each stitch going around. So after I do my chain up 3, I'm just going to go right here in the same stitch, put 1 double crochet and 1 double crochet in each stitch till I get to the end of the round. And we're just going to slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet we made in that row. We're going to hit a chain 1 and cut off our yarn. And we got our little tail we're going to weave in. And that is our bucket. 3, 3, 3. 3, 3, 3. Just finished recording at 3:33 on the dot. Is that not synchronicities? So we have now completed our 333 bucket hat. Get it wavy if you want, but you could do this patterning all the way across if you want, now that you know how. Otherwise, you could just keep it, with just the 3 numbers. In the next tutorial, I'll probably show you guys the spacing and measurements on how to get, just the number on the front. And if you want it on the front and in the back, so you could have the double side. But that's what we got going. Yeah. And first number tutorial done. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, you could follow me on Instagram and TikTok. All of my links are posted on my channel page. And yeah, tap in. Love you guys. Bye.